It's shiny. It's awesome. It's cool. It's a piece of hardware that I can give for my baby boy.
Porque eu não comi nada antes.
You know,
absolutely.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother. 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 Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Record. Tom, are you recording?
I'm on, Joe.
Good. Hello, and welcome back to Hold On, I'm Talking, Brother. My name is Joe Greenwood, and you are listening to our UFC 275 review and our UFC Fight Night Austin preview, main evented by Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. And as per usual, I'm joined by my regular co-host, Tom Ballerman. Tom, I'll ask you the question. Does it hurt knowing that I'm the champ yet again?
It's a long, drawn-out sigh from me, Joe, because I can't hide it. I can't hide it. Not only are you the champ,
I am,
but I've lost again. You know, it's time for reflection. I looked at my gloves after the fight, took one of them off, and then kind of readjusted it.
Yeah.
Camera panned away, and they celebrated your victory. Congratulations! Of course, it was all sealed in the main event. Enough of
UFC 275. Yeah, incredible.
I don't want to dismiss Kattar versus Emmett, but man, that main event was something else.
Yeah, it was quite something.
That's what I want to talk about, Joe.
Let's get into it. No fucking around. Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prochazka, main event is UFC 275, light heavyweight title on the line. And in what is one of the most incredible fights I've ever seen, a fight that I watched through my fingers at points, squealing, making noises that are, unhuman. Prochazka does the thing that no one expected and submits Glover Teixeira in the 5th round. And Tom, I will ask you the question here: is Yuri Prochazka a worthy champion in your mind?
That's a great question. And not what I was expecting, If you're truly to revel in your victory, then you have to believe that you made the right picks on the right basis. Joe has picked up, he's fanning himself now, the sweat. He knows he's a false idol.
What?
The guilt.
I'm not having this.
Well, look, Joe, Teixeira was winning the fight.
He was actually winning the fight.
Let's just get this out there right now. Round 1 went to...
Oh, what? Who did I give it to?
Well, Joe, I'll tell you right now. You scored round 1 for Teixeira, round 2 for Teixeira as well. Then round 3 went to Prochazka, and then you came back to Teixeira for round 4.
No.
Oh, Joe.
I gave Glover round 1.
Joe, you're going to bring the pod into disrepute. Come on now.
I gave Yuri's round 2, 3, and 4.
What?
And then
You are joking.
I'm not joking.
Joe,
this is in the moment.
Joe.
In the moment, first time watching it. What? I'm having to judge it like the judges, am I not? Like, in the moment, watching it for the first time. No spoilers. Like, this is... What? I'm sorry, man. That is just what I gave it. It seems like I'm insane that this is what I've done.
Now, Joe, look, I'm going to give you a chance to walk this back, all right? I'm going to talk you down from the ledge. No, hold up. It's all right.
Yep.
Safe space here. 2 friends. We're talking about UFC. You did get to watch it a second time.
I did indeed.
That was, maybe...
I had it 2-2 going into the 5th.
What, Joe? What are you saying? Which round do you give to Yuri? We agree round 3, where Yuri led...
Round 3?
Yuri led the stand-up. Did greater damage. Ended up on his back, but still.
Round 2?
No.
Yes!
No, Joe. Like, Yuri's probably still in surgery after the elbow that was unleashed on him at the end of round 2.
No, man.
Damage.
I gave 2 and 3. Yeah, I gave that to Prochazka for that round. In my mind's eye. If I'm remembering it correctly... I watched it the second time on the Monday, so we are a few days removed here. But yeah, I gave it 2-2 going into the 5th the second time. But the first time I had it 3-1 Prochazka going into the 5th, which seems a bit insane by the sounds of it. But ultimately, that doesn't really matter, does it? Or does it when asking about, like, maybe Teixeira make a choice that he probably shouldn't have done?
I mean,
He rocked Prochazka with a massive shot and had him rocked against the cage, and then went to pull him down for a guillotine, to which Prochazka just slipped out of immediately. One of the worst in-fight decisions we've ever seen.
I mean, Joe, like, I gotta jump on this. Like, the first time that I watched the fight, the commentators were saying huge mistake. After Texiera had rocked Yuri in the 5th, I think they knew he was up on the cards. Obviously, like one of the co-hosts of Hold On, I'm Talking Brother, well versed in the sport. These guys know what they're watching. True professionals, and they were saying huge mistake from Texiera as he slipped off the sub, and Yuri took that top position, which culminated in the end of the fight. Now, the first time round, I thought this is overblown. Clearly, DC is a bit of a Glover fanboy. Obviously, same kind of school of martial arts, and I put it at that. I watched it a second time round, Joe, and I think this is up there as one of the greatest mistakes, one of the largest, hugest, most significant mistakes in a title fight ever.
Really?
Glover Texiera was 30 seconds from cruising this fight.
I think cruising is a mad thing to say. Like, that is absolutely insane thing to say.
Glover was in the ascendancy. He was pulling away, Joe. He was looking great in that 5th.
No.
Oh, I really surprised. You surprised me here, Joe.
He was absolutely shattered, and he even said as much, that he was absolutely done, and Prochazka was still going. Like, if we're looking at that side of it, Prochazka's like cardio is maybe his greatest weapon. I've realised watching this fight is that he's just going to keep going at this pace the whole way. Did drop off slightly in the 4th, I think it was, which was.
Oh no, that was an amazing round. I mean, I was really like reveling in the champ, in that kind of championship material that Glover produced.
I find it mad that you just said that Glover was cruising to a victory, though, because it's like Glover proved me wrong, and a lot of people wrong,
Joe,
which is that
Glover took his best shots. He took his best shots in the 3rd. He came out in the championships rounds, and he landed the takedown. Let me just preface this. He lost the 3rd round. Glover looked tired. He was shooting for a couple of takedowns. They were sloppy. Yuri was shrugging him off and then working him on the feet with those long, straight, single shots. Not putting great combinations together, but he was hitting Glover at will. Glover really faded big time in the 3rd. Coming back for the 4th, all right, everyone's thinking Yuri's going to pull away now. This is where the fight starts to tilt. Now, in that response, if it carried on like that, then of course you would never say something like Glover was cruising to a victory. But what actually happened is in the 4th, Glover collected himself. He found those takedowns that he wasn't able to get in the 3rd, and he was in the ascendancy. He continued that into the 5th, where he was actually beating Yuri on the feet. He had, he was in the ascendancy.
I think that's a little bit of a willful ignorance on your part as well. I think that you like Glover more, and that you've sort of like chosen the angle that you wanted Glover to win this. Tell me the
other angle, Joe. Sell it to me.
I honestly thought it was incredibly equal the whole way through, and that you're looking then for individual moments to then elevate each fighter. Now, Glover got that in a couple rounds with the ground and pound that he was able to go and get full mount as well at times. That was incredibly impressive with Glover Texiera, is that like, and we'll talk about this in comparison to the co-main event, but when he gets you on the ground, he is going for positions to get to finish you. Like, he's not just holding you there, he's working his way to the best positions to dominate you. However, having said all that, he got into these positions and Prochazka got out. Somehow, in a few cases where it's like, how on earth did he get away with that? But on the feet, I felt like most of those rounds was pretty equal, but Prochazka was landing bigger, more significant shots, apart from in the 5th round, in which Glover landed the biggest shot, a couple moments in the 4th, and the 1st. So I don't think I'm way off in saying the 2nd and 3rd were that close.
Glover dominated him on the ground in the 1st, the 2nd, the 4th, and then the 5th he beat him in the stand-up. The third round is the only round.
Yeah, but then are we not going to talk then about how then Prochazka then dominated him on the ground in the fifth?
He didn't dominate him on the ground. With a minute to go, I'm pretty sure I have this right. I have this in my notes. A minute to go, Glover still had full mount in the fifth. I think
yeah.
He was 3 rounds with a fourth in the bank in full mount with a minute to go.
But then does that not then get equalised by the fact that Prochazka had him in crucifix in the fifth?
Not for like 15 seconds or whatever that top control was before Glover gave up the choke. I mean, wait, hold on, Joe. Let's just establish this one. The fifth round before the finish, who was going to win that round? Who was up? I mean, this is
Texiera.
Thank you. So Texiera's winning the fight.
But then hold on, you're saying this though. You're saying that he's winning the fight, but then he still got finished. As Prochazka was then in the ascendancy with like 45 seconds to go.
This is why I'm saying
the damage that
this is why I'm saying
we're talking about hypothetical fight that didn't happen.
No.
What happened was that Texiera got finished due to the amount of damage Prochazka landed on him and gassed him.
No, I don't. I guess that's where our opinions are different. What I'm arguing.
You don't hold on. You don't think that Prochazka landed significant shots to the body and like significant shots on Texiera to tire him out?
Yeah, in the third round, Glover said as much himself. Like the body shots were really eating into his gas tank. There's no doubt that he had a huge third round, but Glover had already overcome that. You know, Glover.
Well, hold on.
Glover had shown the heart.
Yeah, but we've seen this
champ.
before. Hold on, but we've seen this before where guys take a huge amount of damage in a round, and in the next round they come back because they have to dig in and pull from something, in which he did, and then in the fifth. He was absolutely shot because he had done that in the... that's definitely...
He wasn't...
That's what
Joe,
happened.
he wasn't shot. He was dominating Yuri in the fifth. He was absolutely working.
He got finished. He got finished
which is why
with a
I'm
fucking
saying,
rear naked choke without any hooks
it's a
in. He was
historic
finished.
mistake from Glover.
He was finished.
I don't think Yuri won that fight. I think Glover lost it.
No, I'm not having that. That is insane.
But you're
That
telling
is
me that
absolutely
a jiu-jitsu specialist like Glover... Who's
gassed out?
No, he didn't gas out.
He did gas out.
Like there was a slight moment. He made a mistake. He
stopped fighting. He stopped fighting, and he was in a position to get out of there, and he stopped fighting because he was exhausted.
But get out of the rear naked choke once it was in. Is that what you're saying?
He didn't have the hooks in.
No. Yeah. I mean, Glover was obviously exhausted. Okay. Yes.
All
but
right,
he had overcome. He had already shown that he could have overcome that. I don't see how you can...
I don't think he had anything.
Joe, there was 28
left.
seconds left.
And he didn't have anything left.
If he was of full mind, he would have never got to let himself get into that space.
But he wasn't a full mind because he was shattered, the bloke. Listen, we're getting lost in the weeds here. Listen, Glover was knackered and Yuri finished him off with a rear naked choke without any hooks.
Can't dispute
that is the sign of a man who is absolutely exhausted. Okay? And how did he get exhausted? Because Prochazka landed damage and Texiera had to dig deep to fight through that fourth round. And then he gets into the fifth, lands a huge shot, goes for that guillotine. I honestly think a part of him going for that guillotine was that he was actually exhausted. Like, throwing shots, I think would have tired him out more.
But in going for the guillotine, he had to pull guard. He had to, like it was a terrible mistake. The story in this fight is that Glover made an all-time huge error.
And rightfully got punished for it and lost his belt.
Yeah, it's a tragedy for Glover. I guess that's my angle.
Let's talk about Yuri.
I refuse.
No,
because
what do you mean you refuse? I'm the champ.
He got handled. Yuri got absolutely handled in this fight.
He did not get handled. On the feet,
Glover beat him
Yuri
up.
was better.
No.
Yuri was better. Yes, he was.
Joe, we need to watch it a third time. We need to run it back.
I will watch it. Well, let's run it back. I'm going to ask you this question. What's next for Yuri Prochazka? Is it the rematch or is it Jan Blachowicz?
See, now I've just advocated strongly, I hope the listeners hear that, for Glover.
Yeah, no shit. They'd have to be fucking deaf to not get that.
Well,
and then at which point, why are they listening? But
well, Joe, look,
right,
I know I can see you're a bit salty. You know there's going to be some hate mail, all right?
I don't give a fuck. Like, Yuri Prochazka won that fight fair and square. And it's
He
not
won it fair and
Glover
square.
Texiera lost
No,
it.
Glover lost it. Definitely Glover lost it, Joe. He was 30 seconds away from winning. Like, if he hadn't made that mistake, he would have just not engaged as much in the fight. He was already beating him on the feet
But he
anyway.
made the mistake because he was battered. They were both battered in that fight.
I would say like most fighters, especially at light heavyweight, going into a fifth round, they are so diminished that they are extremely vulnerable. But guys like John Jones, for example, have been able to avoid being finished in the fifth, despite being tired. Fighters have to go through
it's because
that.
If it's because Jones has got fucking shitloads of drugs pouring through him that he's able to like pull on these reserves, and also that Jones is defensively quite strong as a striker. Like he's able to avoid big shots for the most part.
As was Glover though in the fifth. Anyway, I wouldn't give Glover the rematch. Is what I'm.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't give him the rematch.
Why?
Because it's the first defense. He's not a long time champ. I think we both agreed if you've defended about 4 or 5 times, then you probably are due a instant rematch. There are huge contenders in the division who are worthy of a title shot. Some of those Glover hasn't fought himself. If he had beaten all of the closest contenders, then maybe he could kind of block them out of the picture. But I think Glover has to fight down, as much as it pains me to say it.
That is a shame. I think also I don't know. I mean, is there? I don't think there's particularly is one clear contender. I know Dana has said that the Smith and Ankalaev fight is the number one contenders fight. Maybe Blachowicz.
I mean, I think if you're going to give Texiera a rematch, you would have to give Blachowicz a rematch, and we both felt that Blachowicz didn't deserve that.
Off of Rakic win.
Blachowicz after losing to Texiera, like an instant it's the same kind of context, and
right.
when there are other names in there.
Yeah, I get that. I think I would be interested in a Blachowicz Prochazka fight.
Amazing, yeah.
Just because, first off, as we've said before, I think we're both big fans of Jan, just because he just seems to defy all logic of what this division is. What is coming? As we said, the super soldier Rakic, Prochazka, this absolutely cut from a piece of marble, Ankalaev, this man from the mountains coming down to sort of take this, and then you got like Jan Blachowicz with his weird stick legs and slightly podgy torso, who somehow has the quickest hands in the division. I think that would be interesting as well to see, would Jan be able to slow the fight down to his pace? Would he incorporate takedowns? I don't think he's got the wrestling credentials of Texiera. Would he be able to get that in there? Were those wrestling credentials slightly overhyped because he was fighting Adesanya, who's a middleweight? There would be all these interesting elements to see. Could Blachowicz implement his game plan? But that fight would be absolutely incredible, I think.
You think Blachowicz is worthy of that fight now? They should make it.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
For me, yes. Yeah. More so than even if Ankalaev beats Smith, I'm a little bit like, not quite.
Wow.
Not quite for me.
Okay.
It's we'll see. If he blows Smith away in a round, I'm like, Jesus Christ, give this guy the title shot. And then saying that, if Anthony Smith beats Ankalaev, maybe I could be convinced that he needs another title shot. I know you're not such a huge Anthony Smith fan, but
that would blow my mind if Anthony Smith is fighting for the belt. But if he destroys Ankalaev, given Ankalaev's record in the division, then that obviously he has to be in the conversation. Sounds like we're on the same page here. We can say Holden I'm Talking Brother is behind Alan Blachowicz versus Yuri Prochazka.
Yes. Just to see what it looks like. That would be incredible. Right. Co-main event time.
Joe, look, this has turned into Glover hate fest from your end. You're just going to bypass him. What next for Glover?
Take some time off, brother. Come back later in the year.
When he's 44.
And then take... and then who should he face? Jamahal Hill? Paul Craig? Oh. Craig versus Texiera? I'm down for that. Just keep him. I don't want to see him against.
Does he fight the winner of Ankalaev Smith?
Oh shit, that would be a banger.
I like that.
I like that one as well. But the problem is though, it creates this sort of bottleneck though, doesn't it? Just it's these same guys fighting each other, and I don't know. I think if he fights the winner of Ankalaev Smith, the loser of that has to go way down. I mean, Anthony Smith did do that, to be fair. He has fought guys who are just way down the division and has worked his way back up, and fair enough. Anyway, co-main event, women's title fight, flyweight title on the line, Valentina Shevchenko versus Tyler Santos. 2 questions, Tom. Did you watch this fight? And how did you score it if you did?
Oh, you caught me red-handed, Joe. I was trying to think. You got me. I was trying to think, of course we're a semi-professional podcast now. We're maturing into our second year, batting away sponsorship offers. How do I talk about this fight without acknowledging that I didn't watch it totally?
Totally. All right. Did you watch the BT Sport highlights?
No, I panned over the fight. I've got to be honest. I've panned over it. Now, what I saw of it, it seemed like Santos was in the ascendancy, surprised Shevchenko with her wrestling game, was able to take her down and hold her there. But then Shevchenko, following a headbutt, was able to win the championship.
Yeah,
round.
after breaking Santos's orbital with a headbutt, accidental headbutt, and then Santos is literally fighting with one eye. Shevchenko managed to win the last 2 rounds. I had it 3-2 for Santos. I had that down to the grappling control. I know that Shevchenko landed some shots while Santos was on her back, literally going back over her head, and they were like, quote, significant shots, but not really damaging blows, and she was getting pretty much controlled on the deck. And then after the orbital break, Shevchenko won the rounds after that. Listen, I'm not particularly mad at Shevchenko winning. I can see why people scored it her way, but to give her 4 rounds out of 5, that's insane. And also Shevchenko, gotta say, wasn't that good. She didn't seem really that into it. She seemed slightly zoned out of the fight. Shit, I'm down, I better start fighting. And the weird judo throw thing that she went for that just didn't work. The classic head arm scarf hold sort of throw that happens in women's MMA. And, she just failed that. Santos got her back. Had some good grappling control. The problem is that unlike Glover Teixeira, she didn't work into stronger positions to then get any damage off. Because if she did, I think Santos would probably be the flyweight champion right now. And actually, the 3rd round, she'd get a tight rear naked choke in there, sort of over the face, that sort of Khabib style. And there was a lot of there was some quite nasty grappling, hands over the mouth, that sort of thing, over the eyes, really pressing her palm into her face and sort of really uncomfortable, nasty grappling. I liked Santos in this fight, did well, but I can see why they gave it to Shevchenko. I still stand by my claim, though, that Shevchenko won't be the flyweight champion by the end of the year. However, if she fights Miesha Tate like what she's asking for, she probably still will be the flyweight champion at the end of the year. I mean, honestly, who the fuck would want to watch that?
You're saying you'd rather see Chukagian fight Shevchenko again?
No, my girl, Manon Fiorot, she will be the flyweight champion. She will take that belt from Shevchenko. That is my big prediction. Right, Tom. Now tell me you gave this fight a bit of respect. Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. First off, did you watch this fight?
Of course I watched this fight.
Oh, thank Christ for that.
So,
Second of all,
let's just get this clear. Yeah. If you earn my interest and respect, you retain it until proven otherwise.
Man or woman?
Man, of course.
We
don't discriminate here. We don't discriminate.
You know what, actually? I think we do have this as a catch-all thing, which is I tend to stand on the fence on quite a lot of things out of the fact that I have disdain for a lot of people, and there's a lot of fighters in the UFC that I have disdain for that I do not want to watch. And Valentina Shevchenko is turning into one of those. But let's talk about 2 women that I think are ledges, the pair of them. Zhang Weili knocks out Joanna Jędrzejczyk with a spinning back fist, but I don't think that's the story of the fight. The story of the fight for me is that this might be the best strawweight fighter in the history of this division. This performance was complete in my mind. This is one of the most complete women's MMA performances I've seen. And I feel like you agree, potentially.
She was dominant. She was absolutely dominant. She clearly accelerated away from the first fight. In our preview, we were asking that question, where they were in their careers, these women. And I was kind of taking Joanna's corner, saying she looked hungry, saying she looked ready. You were asking about the wrestling game of Weili and how that might factor into the fight. I mean, Weili blew her away in the end.
Yeah, wasn't close. Wasn't close at all. Yeah, she utterly dominated her. And then that spinning back fist was incredible. Just because, like, it didn't seem to knock Jędrzejczyk out, but it just removed her feet from underneath her to the point that... Because she landed it, and then Jędrzejczyk sort of chased her for a shot, and the feet were just gone.
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a way to go out. And I don't mean to brag, Tom, but... As Jędrzejczyk is walking out, I turn to my partner, Kirsten, and I say to her, I think Jędrzejczyk's going to retire. I had no idea what the result was. I was just watching her come out. She kisses her partner. She hugs her mum. This is things that she's never done before. And there's just this look on her, and I was just like, oh, no. Oh, no. She's in a lot of trouble here. Like, this is... Did you get that vibe from her at all?
No, it wasn't until they panned to, like, here and there little images of the gloves, and she was hanging around a bit awkwardly, and I was like, she's done. And in hindsight, it was obvious. 35,
2 years off.
Yeah, 2 years off. Clearly at that age where she's thinking about a family and things outside the octagon, and this is really established that the division is moving away from her. The gap is growing. It makes perfect sense. We should have called it here first, really. But she goes away. Undoubtedly, she'll be in the Women's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and one of the best women's fighters ever.
A pioneer,
A pioneer.
In her time, she was head and shoulders above everyone else, and it's a testament to the top of the division now that it's caught up and is clearly going away from her.
One that she lost in this manner. It's not like the other losses where. I mean, the first Rose loss, apparently the weight cut for that was horrendous. Like, she had this awful weight cut, and she just didn't recover in time for the fight. Okay, fine. She comes back for the rematch, loses. Okay, not the end of the world. Then loses to Shevchenko. Fine. Again, no shame in that. Loses to Weili in that sort of fight of the year. Again, no shame in that sort of thing. But this one, she was just nowhere near. This is like clear levels below what Weili has become. I almost felt like she probably hasn't even been training properly, like, for quite a significant amount of time. So, yeah, for the best that she sort of rides off into the sunset before things get really bad.
What about Weili then, Joe? Is she going to fight Carla Esparza next?
Yeah. It's maybe not exactly my choice, but yeah, she's going to fight next, isn't she? She's going to... And... Fucking hell, poor Carla. Like, she's having to face this woman. I mean, to me, actually, Weili is kind of the uncrowned champ anyway. I had her beating Rose the last time. And I don't know what Carla's going to have for her.
How many fights does Rose need to win to earn a rematch?
4.
Well, I think what you'll see, Joe, is Weili, if she is able to become champ, that third fight between her and Rose will be coming in faster. Yeah, I can't say I'm super excited either.
It should be my girl. Marina Rodriguez should be getting a title fight. Like, she's, again, I think potential future champion, and one of the most interesting and exciting fighters in that division. So, yeah, I'd like a little bit of fresh blood in there, but this is an issue that happens in these divisions sometimes, is you get this slight bottleneck of 4 or 5 best people, and they end up all fighting each other, and other people can't really get that opportunity. Right, should we talk about the 2 Australians that won on this main card? We had a change to the card. Manal Cap versus, was it Bontarin? Got cancelled. So they brought in Jake Matthews versus Andre Filiau. Now, I was excited for this fight on the prelims. I was like, damn, Filiau, he's a bit of a dog. He'll go after it. It's Jake Matthews. He looks quite refined. Jesus Christ. Jake Matthews blew Filiau away. Like, it wasn't even close, was it?
It was crazy. I mean, Jake Matthews... He's now a veteran in the UFC. He's never caught my attention in this way before.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as the commentators were saying, he just looked so fast. Everything was landing. Everything was working. He looked elite.
He really did. He really, really did. I think this is something that did come up in the commentary as well. I think Filião fighting 3 times in 3 months is not a good idea. Like, with that weight cut, with the damage that he's taken, you just got to stop doing that. But Jake Matthews, I mean, there were a couple moments where Filião landed and he was in exchanges, but I think that was more Matthews sort of obliging him so that he could then counter. But Matthews was just supreme, I thought, in this fight. Really, so much more advanced than Filião, who seemed a bit more just come forward. Whereas Matthews had this beautiful in and out, nice single shots, good variety to them as well. Didn't rely just on boxing like Filião. So really, really impressed by Jake Matthews. Yeah, and also Jack Della Maddalena, a man who you were sort of unsure of before. Strong performance. Got out of a submission, that anaconda choke. Good defensive wrestling, and then some beautiful hands to finish him off. Emif, that is. Both of these gentlemen in the welterweight division. What are we thinking now? Are we buying into this, or are we going to have a bit more of a slow burn?
Well, I'm saying, like, this is where you start to light the touch paper, isn't it? This is where the attention, the light shines. It's where I start to remember your name when you turn up again. Filião now, I will remember his face, by the way. Of course, I do know Filião. It's getting mixed up with some Brazilian, I believe, in our preview. You know, the spectre is upon you. This is the chance. The problem is, for me, both these guys are still a little bit outside the rankings at welterweight. I think it would be a little bit generous to kind of match them up against the likes of Chiesa, Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
So, you know, 1 or 2 more fights.
Michel Pereira? Maybe?
Pereira is sitting now at 14th at welterweight. Pereira himself, he beat Filião, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat Filião and he beat Ponzinibbio.
So you got to. I mean, I know you've turned off Pereira, but he's got to.
No, he's come. Yeah. I'd have him fight.
He's got to march forwards.
I mean, Jeff Neal's fighting Luque.
Wow.
Magny's fighting Savkat Rakhmonov.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
What about the Leech? What's going on with the Leech?
He's got Muslim Salikov. Kevin Holland's fighting tonight against Tim Means. So maybe Ponzinibbio for Jake Matthews.
That could be fun.
And then maybe a Della Maddalena could face like a Nico Price or something, or Gunnar Nilsson.
Oof, that was dismissive of young Gunnar.
No, it's not. No. It's a test, I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, of the two, Matthews is closer to the big picture.
Yeah.
So I'll sign off on it, Joe.
All right, cool. All right, we got some decent fights there lined up. Right. Should we talk about UFC Fight Night? Cater versus Emmett. Now, we'll do our usual thing of, Tom, I'm going to read off the main card to you, and you'll give me some picks, but we'll go into these fights a little bit, because there are some bangers on this card. Have you looked at this card?
No.
Oh, bro. Well, let's start off with the prelim main event. At the bantamweight division, Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. Tony Kelly, your man who said that racist shit the other week. Also missed weight for this fight.
Oof,
indeed.
Good thing we love Yanez anyway.
We do love Yanez,
so
yes.
Welcome to the train. Welcome to the party. He's coming off a loss, isn't he, Yanez?
Yeah. He had that really impressive win against your man.
He lost to Filião. No, sorry, I'm getting mixed.
What?
Sorry, Joe.
Jesus Christ, no.
All over the place.
Filião would murder him. He's not coming off a loss. No, it's not coming. He fought Davy Grant. He had a split decision win over Davy Grant. Beat Randy Costa. That's the guy I was thinking of. No, he's undefeated in the UFC.
Joe, who am I getting him mixed up with here? Help me. Help the listeners. I'm sure they're in the same place. Filião.
Bantamweight.
Filião, yes, I know. Filião at welterweight. He just beat
Baeza.
Yeah, see, Joe, Hispanic.
Do you see Baeza's? Do you see Baeza's like retired?
Oh no.
Yeah, I think he's like, I've had enough.
Oh no,
I've had enough.
But Yanez, yeah, sorry, he's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good,
yes.
And everyone will want to see him win this fight. I think he does go in as the favourite.
Yes. Right, let's go through this main card then. Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodriguez.
Marquez is the big Cuban. Big Cuban, no?
Do you remember his claim to fame?
I do not.
Where he won a fight and then he cut his promo and he said, Miley Cyrus, be my Valentine. Did you remember this? And then she replied, and then he completely dropped the ball. Like, he had some weird convoluted response. I remember seeing DC like making fun of him for it, like just being like, bro, what you doing? Like, that was just because she seemed like she was interested, but yeah. Oh well.
He's the favourite anyway here, Joe, so hopefully he can bounce back. Surely he beats Rodriguez.
Yeah, most likely. But bounce back from the loss of being Merkin himself. We got Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutaladze. Kutaladze ran off with that female fighter, didn't he? Cheyenne Buys? She was married to that other MMA fighter. She cheated on him, allegedly, with this guy, and then now they've run off together.
Wow, Joe, you're hot.
No judgment.
Hot on the gossip. This is Russia, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. So
it's Kazakhstan, Georgia.
Oh, apologies. Geez, I'm really dropping the ball here, one after another.
Yeah.
Come on, Tom, get it together.
Get it together,
Joe,
indeed.
you know what it is? I'm shook. I'm
You're shook because I
What
won.
are those things you said about Glover? I'm shook. the hate in your heart.
Go on, give me a pick.
I've gone for Ismagulov.
Cool. Now, this fight I'm really excited for. Our top boy, Joaquin the Buck Buckley versus Albert Duraev.
Who?
In the middleweight division. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Joaquin Buckley, he's fighting in the middleweight division. That's right, Tom. I'm going to drop the promo right now that we all love.
Any excuse,
right this
get
second.
it in there, Joe.
But, it's other dudes out there that I want to fight who talking that nonsense, and I really want to give it to them. Because when I heard them, the referee can't save him. And y'all know who I'm talking about.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, I know who I'm talking about. Look up my name on YouTube. You will see him. He the only person talking stuff. I don't need to give his name out. Just do your homework, and you know who I'm talking about. Fight Island, January 23rd.
I know who it is. It's James Krause. I just wanted to hear you say it.
You can say it. I ain't going to say his name.
Right, Buckley then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
How's he going to win?
Well, I mean, we know he's got that spinning kick, but he won't be content with that, Joe. He's going to set the bar even higher. There's been some spinning back fists recently in the UFC.
Oh, nice.
Buck, he can generate some momentum.
Nice.
Spinning back fist for Buckley in the first 30 seconds of the fight.
Wicked. I'm down with that. Tim Means is facing off against Kevin Holland.
Come on, Kevin. Let's get back on track. I'm picking Kevin. KO.
Kevin Holland beat Oliveira in his last fight. Not Charles Oliveira. What's his name? Alex Oliveira. So yeah, he's making that move for the welterweight title. Best of luck with that, Kev, through all the wrestlers that are waiting for you. Co-main event, Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lozon. Remember when we not really previewed this at the last pay-per-view when this got cancelled?
Same again, Joe. I mean, make it stop.
Yeah, just something respectable. And then the main event, Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett.
That's a great fight.
This is a great... Now, if Emmett loses this fight, he's never getting to a title shot.
No, I don't think so. No.
Which is mad, considering that his record would then be 17-3. He's 17-2 right now.
Wow.
And he's potentially might never get to a title shot. That's kind of insane, isn't it? That he's...
It's insane,
but
away. What is the other data point there that we haven't mentioned? I don't know how old the guy is now. I think 37. Horrendous injuries. Yeah, it just stacked against him.
Yeah, and the thing is that he would be... If, let's say, he does win this fight, he'd then have to have a number one contenders fight against a Brian Ortega, the loser of Holloway Volkanovski, the maybe an Arnold Allen. You know, it's not looking easy for Emmett to get to that title shot. I mean, you know, I want the best for him. He's an incredible fighter. His last fight wasn't particularly impressive, the win over Dan Ige, but I think obviously you remember that fight against Shane Burgos where he blew out both of his knees.
And still won. And still
dug in and like somehow got a win. It was mind-blowing.
Then there's the huge KOs over Lamas, Johnson,
Bektic.
Yeah, great fighter. Came to the UFC a little bit too late in the end.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're being very dismissive. A win over Cater here, and he's one fight away. So
yeah, probably. Again, yeah, that's the thing, is that we're making this sound a lot bigger than it potentially is. It's just, I feel like the UFC are going to be in a position to screw him over quite a bit over the next year or two if he does beat Cater. But Cater coming back, lost to Holloway, obviously, but then came back and beat the brakes off Giga Chikadze. Yeah. Really blew that up in his face, didn't he? Chikadze's nowhere to be seen. Cater here obviously has, I would say, the stronger boxing, whereas Emmett has the more sort of decorated wrestling base, even though he does like to use his hands more.
He loves those big looping hooks.
He loves them.
If he can get in the pocket with Cater, I don't think Cater would want to trade with him there. But such a beautiful, fluid boxer, Calvin Cater. Great at kind of point fighting, keeping the range, working the combos. I lean towards Cater for this fight.
I lean that way as well. I think it could be quite a dominant performance as well, particularly if Emmett relies on the striking and doesn't fold in the wrestling to his attacks.
A la Giga Chikadze, who tried to trade with
Cater
and got wiped out, exterminated.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, was it, really? Right, that fight night looks banging. Let's talk about some fights that are coming up down the road. And
but just on one of the sorry, Joe, just like there's one thing I wanted to bring up there. Just because we're talking about the featherweight picture right now, we have to say goodbye to one of the big names in the picture. I don't know if you've seen this, but our Dagestani superstar Zabit.
Oh, of course.
He's just retired, Joe. He's not coming back.
Yeah, one of the great what ifs in MMA, UFC.
Huge, incredible record. Yeah.
17-1, retires. Had a lot of health issues by the sounds of it, and then apparently he's an incredibly religious man, to the point that, you know, he does listen to his I don't know what the correct term to use is, but like his advisors, let's say spiritual advice. No, I mean literal men, fleshy men who advise him. And religious elders, let's say that. I don't know what the correct term is. I don't know what form of Islam he falls within. So I don't know. You're more of a religious scholar than me.
More hate mail with every word.
With every syllable.
Get it together.
Anyways, the Beat's retired.
He's gone.
Real
He's
shame.
out of there.
I mean, he never seems to have the cardio for one. I wonder if that was related to his health.
I think it might have been the fact he'd have to fight Max Holloway or Volkanovski at one point.
Wait, so you're saying he's become a doctor because he wants to avoid Max Holloway?
Joe, I don't blame him. I'd do the same.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, what a real shame. What we did see was incredible. Some of his performances. I mean, when he hit that Suluev stretch on your man Brandon Davis, incredible. Also had that really banging fight with that lad. Oh, what was his name? I can't remember. But real good back and forth. He has a couple really good fights. Had a good fight with Cater as well, where Cater really put on him in the third round. But yeah, rest in peace to Zabit. Could have maybe been champion, but I don't know. We not quite buying into that hype.
No.
Yeah,
and he won more fight right at the top, you know.
A 5-round fight.
Cut against the real creme de la creme.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Zabit will not be entering the UFC Hall of Fame.
No, sadly not. Right. Now, let's talk about some matchups that have been made. And we're going to talk about just the bantamweight division, because I think these fights line up very neatly and also might affect the division and the division above. So, starting off, Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw is being booked for September. Title fight on the line. You're pulling a face there of worry by the looks of it.
I'm worried about where Jose Aldo fits in, Joe.
Well, he has been booked against Merab Dvalishvili.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God, that's horrible. Well, now I'm even more concerned for Jose. Wow. I mean, they're all.
Let's talk about Sterling TJ. There's a third fight I need to bring up as well. Shall I just mention it now?
Yeah, I'm blown over. Keep me down.
Corey Sandhagen will return to face Song Yadong, which is quite nice. We're going to see basically the top 5 open up a bit. Guys fighting down in Aldo and Sandhagen, and guys who are on good win streaks coming up and actually getting some top contenders.
So, Joe, for me, of the 6 names we've mentioned then, one is not like the others.
What, Merab?
No, I mean, yeah, of course, like your fighting style, Merab is different. I more meant...
Oh, you're saying that Song is not on the level
He's
of
not
the
there,
guys.
Joe. He's not there.
Not yet.
No. But
he's like 23, 24
it's a
years
chance
old,
for him
like.
to enter that club.
It's hard to go down, though, from that club, isn't it? Like, if you get in there at that young age, and it's like, well, that's what you're going to be expected to fight, even if you're on like a 3-4 fight losing streak. Rest in peace, Marlon Moraes. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge for Song, to say the least. But let's talk about that title fight, because this might also affect the division above. Aljamain Sterling came out the other day saying that he would not fight Merab Dvalishvili, and that when it comes to it, he will step out the way for Merab and will vacate the title. What does that tell us? Does that tell us that this is like a DC Kane situation where one guy clearly whoops the other one in training and the other one doesn't want any part of that in an actual fight? Or it's just like, oh no, we're actually brothers.
Well, in that case, Kane stepped aside for DC, right?
No, DC went down to light heavyweight to avoid Kane.
Yeah, first, but then when Kane was on the kind of comeback trail, it was.
What? What comeback trail are you on about?
So Kane was away from the sport, injured.
Well, he's got a long one now, isn't he? But what's that?
Yeah, well,
sorry, that was awful.
deep in the weeds there.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, when he was away.
Yeah. So first, DC was the champion in Strikeforce. Came into the UFC when in Kane's heyday. Then Kane was injured and out of the sport, and DC in the same space had his success or almost success at light heavyweight, depending on how you classify the Jones fights. I think, of course, it did make a success of it, really, and eventually moved up for Stipe. But in the picture where Kane was not part of that division, he wasn't in the title picture anymore. So
no.
Well, I mean, maybe Kane was neutralised outside the cage by what was going on there.
Wait, hold on. Were you saying Kane... Wait, DC was beating up on Kane?
I don't believe that to be the case, no.
No, that was not the case at all.
Right.
That was confirmed not the case. And I think even DC said that as well. Like, yeah, it was pretty much one-way traffic. So, yeah. I think also probably DC probably realised, like, well, you know...
So...
If I'm going to make a success of this, light heavyweight would be the way to go. But
I feel like, Joe, you're inferring here then that Merab is putting it on Aljamain.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Massively so. Massively so. I also think maybe Aljamain doesn't want to do that cut for much longer.
How do you think he fares at featherweight?
Not well.
No, I don't see it either.
Yeah. Technique-wise, striking-wise, he's nowhere near on the level of, like... I mean, fucking forget Volkanovski and Holloway, but like I'm talking Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen. Like I don't think he's on their striking level. Does he think that he's just going to leave this division and go straight into a title shot? Because I don't think that's going to go very well.
Yeah, I can see the end of the tracks for Aljamain if that is the case. I mean, I still think though he wouldn't just step aside. You know, I just don't see that. They obviously won't make the fight. Merab will have to just hang on for a little bit. If Aljamain is able to get through Sandhagen.
What, and just run the risk of losing for Merab? Of like losing to a Piotr Jan or a Sandhagen, and he has to go back down the line again.
Yeah. I mean, that is the kind of stuff we've seen before. You know, you have got that champ's privilege if you're in the same camp. I just don't see how it's like, right, well, you know, Merab's our guy now. We know you're the champ. We're going to have to make that fight, or you're going to have to step aside. I mean,
What about this? Let's say Sterling faces TJ. And by the way, initial prediction in my mind is that I don't see it going well for TJ. You know, he's getting up there in age. He's had a couple injuries. Took a couple years off due to that drug scandal. You know, I think it'll be interesting to see, but I think it could be the case that Sterling sort of neutralises him. But where does Henry Cejudo fit into all this? He's back getting tested. He's back in the drug testing. Goes back straight into a title shot against the winner of TJ versus Sterling.
wow, it's tantalising prospect. It's so many moving parts here, Joe, in terms of the other fights we've referenced. Who wins, in what fashion, who gets injured. Division is red hot before you start adding Cejudo into the mix or talking about people fighting up or down outside of the division. Really, I think you'd have to have an incredible simulator to map all of the variables in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, it's there are so many moving parts to this that someone could go on like a 3-fight win streak from now until June next year and get them into a title shot quite easily. I'm actually thinking of Marlon Vera is the one I'm thinking
Just stop adding more names. We're already struggling with the simulator as it is.
I know.
I'll tell you what I want. I do want Jose Aldo to fight for.
Tell me what you want.
Aldo to fight for the belt again. I want it.
Do you really?
I do want that
Against Sterling?
I don't want to see him fight Jan again.
So you'd want to see him fight?
How do we get him in there?
TJ?
Yeah, something. I mean, that sounds great.
Yeah, I do worry that if he fights Merab and Merab just mauls him, which is possible. Yeah, dicey, Bappa. But this is like we're getting into very territories if Aldo doesn't win that, and then obviously he has to.
I mean, he absolutely handled Chad Mendes at featherweight, so.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
He does fight wrestlers well. You know, he can.
Frankie.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I think some people forget this as well about Aldo is that he's beaten Frankie Edgar twice at featherweight when Edgar was the lightweight champion, and did so easily. Like, I think sometimes those wins don't get well remembered enough because I just don't think Aldo was enough of a draw or of a fan favourite like he is now. Like, those wins have aged so well. And like you say, the 2 Chad Mendes wins as well. Oh, maybe I am being a bit premature here.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't throw the leg kicks though anymore. That's the problem.
Well, he only needed 1 knee against Mendes in the second fight. You remember that knockout?
The first fight.
Oh, was that the first fight?
When he leapt over the cage and jumped into the crowd. That was insane.
Oh, I love that knockout. For the listeners, go out there, seek it out. You know.
Yeah.
Mendes has his back. Aldo managed to get a little bit of separation, turns, pivots, and knees him straight in the face. Drops Mendes, fights over. Great. Yeah.
And then just goes like streaming straight into the crowd of that Brazilian crowd. Incredible. That's another thing I want. UFC events back in Brazil. That is something that I really want. Just the crowd chanting, "You're gonna die," at all the American fighters. How can you not want a bit of that? Right. Tom, I think we should wrap this up. Listeners, thank you for joining us. Maybe, just maybe, me and Tom will be back next week. Can you believe that? 3 episodes in the space of 2 weeks. Fucking Lord. Be really on it if we're doing that. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Tom, thank you for joining me. I'm the champ. Just want that reminded one more time that I got it right. I got everything right. Did I get I got every winner, didn't I?
Joe, you lost the moral victory, and that was what you've said tonight about Glover Teixeira. That will live long in the memory. But
Yeah, I do regret some of the things I said, but
It's fundamentalist positions, anti-Brazilian, anti-old age, anti-championship mentality. But you are the champ. You know, these are the times we live in. People voted for Donald Trump, and you are the champ.
I know. You see this though. The great men do get toppled eventually, like Trump or Vince McMahon or Boris Johnson. They all fall eventually.
Don't get us cancelled, please. Thanks, listeners. Well done, Joe.
Thank you, listeners, and we'll speak next week.